Welcome to Divine Truth, my series speaking with others around the world as they tell their stories of pre-birth memories and near-death out-of-body experiences. Prepare to be amazed and inspired as I explore their true, incredible journeys. Hello, everyone. We are so blessed and pleased to have you with us tonight. My name is Michelle Rogers, and this is my son, Darron Sturgill, who is a singer-songwriter. Darron, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, my name's Darron Sturgill. I'm a singer-songwriter from Central Kentucky. I consider my hometown to be Rockcastle. It's a pleasure to be on here today.
Awesome. And Darron, so some of the things we're going to talk about tonight are you were born with psychic mediumship abilities, also the ability to spiritually travel, and we're going to be talking also about how a cancerous tumor that was in your knee just disappeared, and what happened after that that brought you into the awakening. Hello, Crypto Laura. Welcome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off here. Anyone that comes into the live chat, if you will, if you have any questions, just go ahead and type them. If you have any questions for Darron, type them in the live post as we're going, and I will get to those as soon as possible. Okay, so the very first thing that I wanted to start off with, Darron, I'm going to try to do like a little bit of a timeline for everyone. So when did you actually start encountering or seeing the paranormal?
I was about, I want to say 9 years old.
Okay, and do you mind to tell us what happened?
Yeah. So it was after a classmate had passed away. Uh, so there was a night that I felt like I needed to go under my bed for whatever reason. And I went under there and I was listening to a CD with headphones and an old CD player. And I seen like a man in like black tarry boots with smoke coming off of him come to the edge of my bed and then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first encounter.
Okay, so was that before or after Dustin had passed?
After.
After. Okay. Hello, Jack Mac. Welcome. So glad to have you. So then fast forward after we've had, by this point, you've had several encounters with the paranormal, right?
Yeah.
Then when you were age 15, this is really where everything begins to kick in. Hello, Buffy. Welcome. Glad to have you. So if you don't mind telling us what happened with this cancerous tumor, if you'll just start from the beginning, that would be great.
For sure. Um, so I was a skateboarder for some time and we would skate through town and stuff. And one day there was like a little four-way in the middle of Mount Vernon. And this is in Kentucky, by the way, but a car was supposed to stop at like a stop sign, and I was counting on that. But yeah, it kind of happened in the flash of an eye. I got hit by it, and my leg was graphically placed underneath this car. And so I didn't think much of it. I took some time away from skateboarding to figure out if I'm actually hurt or not. And I noticed that I started to limp and, kind of carry the weight of one leg on the other. So we went to the Rockcastle Regional Hospital and they treated it for a torn ACL and gave me a shot right in the center of where the tumor was.
Mm-hmm. And at that time, they weren't aware there was a tumor, correct?
Right. And this time span was at least 5-6 months
Mm-hmm.
from the point where I got hit by the car to the shot. So, yeah.
So then, what happened after it was approximately 5 months? What happened during that time, when you saw that things were progressing? What happened at that point?
Well, um, we moved to Lexington, and the medical treatment there, even in the ERs and stuff, like just from like regular like X-rays and scans and stuff, they couldn't tell what exactly it was. I mean, if it was a torn muscle or a broken bone, probably, but it wasn't that. So we ended up going to Central Baptist to get an X-ray,
In
and
Lexington.
yeah, in Lexington, and that's whatever they found what it was, and they pulled my mother, you, out of the room and broke the news to you, and then later on when we got down to the car, you broke the news to me, and you screamed and bawled your eyes out, and so did I. I was left speechless.
Yeah. Actually, at first, you kept saying, "Mom, what's wrong?" I couldn't even tell you at first.
Yeah,
I just kept screaming in the parking lot. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, we remained speechless for a little while after that,
Hmm.
kind of like not knowing what to do because I mean it's real stuff, you know,
Right.
real real illnesses. I mean,
Yeah.
stuff's you know.
So, right. So, fast forward. Now, let's go on to when the night when the beauty began to happen to take place. So, before we get there, let me go ahead and give my part of the story so I don't have to interrupt you. So, up until this point, uh, Darron had been to Coast Children's Hospital in Louisville because no one could seem to figure out what was going on with Darron's knee. It was his left knee. So we had finally found a specialist in Lexington that had, as Darron was saying, found the cancer. So they had referred Darron to Coast Children's Hospital in Louisville. So we had made several appointments, and it was confirmed there was a cancerous tumor in his knee. They had set up for surgery to be performed a few weeks later. So during that time, Darron would just whimper when he would try to sleep at night. You know, he was already taken out of school because he was in so much pain. And I tried in the beginning sleeping with him at night in case he needed, if I heard him whimpering or something, I could get him some pain medicine. But the thing was, every little jar that I made, just, barely turning over or anything, it hurt him so bad. So what I did was I pulled his box spring and mattress into the living room and right beside the couch. And I slept on the couch, but just left enough room, for me to walk in between. And that way I could be right beside of him, but I wasn't disturbing him, like, I wasn't jarring the bed or anything. So this one night, which was 3 nights prior to the date he was scheduled to have surgery to have the tumor removed, I had fallen asleep on the couch. And now, please know, I was separated from my husband at that time, so there was no other adult men in the household. Okay, so I was asleep on the couch, and I felt this huge bump on where my feet were, to that end of the couch, and I heard a man's voice say, "Wake up." So, of course, I woke up and I was kind of startled hearing a man's voice, right? Because there was no man there. So immediately as I was waking up, my eyes went straight to the clock. I don't have an explanation for that. I just know that when my eyes went straight to the clock on the mantle, I saw it was 3 o'clock a.m. on the dot. And then I looked down and I saw Darron. He had his arms in the air and he was crying. And from here, I'm going to leave this in Darron's hands.
Yeah. So, from my perspective, I was asleep, and there was a program on TV, and I felt the need to repeat what the program said. And as I tried going back to sleep, I would say it was about 5 minutes, like that interval of time, and I felt like a hand come down and grab whatever it was, like this, and just pull it out.
So you're saying you literally felt a hand go inside of your knee and pull that tumor out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was more like the best way that I know how to describe it was just like a string. It's like them taking a string and just pulling it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then my hands went up uncontrollably, and tears were just coming down like a waterfall over my face. So yeah.
So at that point, once you had told me, I know it took some time because you were crying so hard, but once you calmed down enough to where you could tell me what happened, because so you guys understand, I'm seeing my son crying and I'm thinking he's in pain. Okay. So, but he couldn't tell me what was going on. So finally, when he begins to calm down, he tells me what happened. And so then what did I tell you to do from that point, Darron?
So from that point, from what I remember, it's pretty blotchy for me. So I'll explain it the best way I know how.
Okay.
So I know that you're asking me what happened from the couch, but it's like everything else just hit me.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to hear you. I'm trying to tell you. The only thing that I know how to describe it was like, I don't know. I just felt something came down and took the cancer out of my leg.
Mm-hmm. And so, after that point, so like for 3 days, I had kept reminding you, when you see these doctors and nurses and everyone that you come in contact with, you need to make sure that you claim this and that you tell them the cancer has been removed, and do not allow them to change your perspective on it. Correct?
Correct.
So now, if you could tell everyone when you actually went to the surgery, we had to bring you in the hospital. You spent the night prior. What took place?
So they took me down early morning to get like a bone scan with blood dye, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady was like, just doing her job. She's, in there, and I understood that. And I was like, "You're not going to find anything." And she was like, "Well, let's just see. There's always a chance that something's in there." Well, I told her, and she, done some scans and looked at it and kind of looked at it sideways for a second. And she was like, "Let's do that again." Mm-hmm. And the same thing happened. And so, yeah, I just kind of stood firm on that.
Yeah.
And just,
And I remember you kept telling all the doctors, the nurses, everyone, it's not there. And I remember at one point, I'm going to help you out because I know at that time you were on a lot of pain medicine. Yeah, they had you doped up. But I remember the doctors and nurses would come in, and obviously I spent the night with you. But they would come in and you would keep telling them, there's nothing there. It's gone. It's been taken away. And I actually remember the surgeon, he laughed at you. I remember that. He
He did?
literally laughed at you. You remember? Yeah. And so the next morning, as they took you into the OR, they just did the normal prep and everything. And they and my dad, Darren's grandpa, was also with me. So my dad and I had went to the operating room's waiting room. And they had a specific phone in that area to call the family members to give them updates. So during that time, Darren was only in the operating room about 10 minutes. I kid you not, 10 minutes. And the nurse called. And the nurse said, "We have never seen anything like this ever." And, my heart started pounding because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, right? I mean, that's just a normal response. I'm a mom, right? And I was like, what is it? What is it? And she said, "There's nothing there. There's nothing there. We don't believe what we're seeing. This isn't possible." And so they went ahead and began, of course, sewing my son's knee back up. And he went through recovery. And then eventually we went home later that evening. So after we got home is when more incredible things happened. This is when Darren actually began his awakening journey after this occurrence. So, Darren told you he's a singer-songwriter, right? Well, when he was at home, he was on, he was having to be homeschooled because he couldn't physically go. So he got pretty bored, and just a few days after, he was like, "Mom, I feel like I need to play the guitar." So I was just, trying to do anything I could at that point because of what he'd been through. Okay, I'll go. I went to a local in Lexington, Kentucky, a local pawn shop. I found him a little acoustic guitar. I brought it to him, and I kid you not, within a day, I was in the kitchen. Darren was in his bedroom at that point, and I was hearing beautiful music. Well, I thought that Darren was playing the radio, and I remember I was cleaning or something, doing laundry, whatever, and I had to pass by Darren's room. That's when I saw it was Darren playing the guitar. Darren had never had guitar lessons. He was given this, I don't know if you want to call it a gift or if he already had the gift and it was just open to him, but it was as if I was listening to someone that had played for years. So I remember that. So Darren, what do you have to say about how the singing and the music started coming into play?
Well, at the time of whenever I was like down and out from surgery and in rehab and stuff, I was actually drumming for a like a little project in one of my friend's basements. And one of my friends, he's passed away now, but his name was David. He was like, "Here, man, just try the guitar." And I was like, "Okay." So I put the strap around my neck, and I was trying to do it. And he was like, "You gotta like, just take your time with it. It's one of those things like drumming. You gotta really like feel your soul." And I was like, "All right." And so that day, I made him a promise that I would try. And so spiritually, however that aligned, it was correct. And later, whenever you got me that guitar, it just came to me like so quickly that I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just like trained to the ear.
It was almost like magical the way it happened. I mean, I'm not saying it was magical. I'm just saying the way that it happened, it was just like, what? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
And we knew it wasn't something that you had practiced to do or anything like that. It happened. It was like you had this urge, I've got to do this. So then you were giving the instrument, you were given the tool, And as soon as you were given the tool, boom.
Yeah.
So Darron, so now, Ben, something else that I wanted to bring up. I know you can't stay long, but when did you realize that you were beginning to have visions when you were awake and dream visions?
So it was both, awake and asleep. They came to me like deja vu, how people would describe it.
Uh-huh.
Like I would see certain like clips of, simple actions of my surroundings or other people, or their facial expressions or mine. And I would have those dreams or visions, and it would come to play as I was like doing something like later that day or the next day.
Uh-huh.
And they would happen more often. And every time it would happen, it would like stop me in my tracks. And I'm like, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
And then they started to become more detailed and more prominent when I would have them, and like kind of like stop me in my tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like it could be big things that mean small things, or small things that mean big things. I mean, it just happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But so eventually you realized you were getting like premonitions. You were seeing what was getting ready to take place in your life or other people's lives. Uh-oh, we lost them. There you are. And so that's going to bring us to Darron. You receiving symbols, ancient hieroglyphs in vision that you decode into the actual music for your guitar and lyrics. You use lyrics from your visions. So if you don't mind to explain that to everyone that's here, and then we can hop off of here. I know you're in such a hurry. Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Darron, try to leave and come back. Like leave altogether. Okay, you can't hear me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'll let them know. Okay. So basically what Darron was going to tell you is that he has had the ability, and still does, that's where all of his music comes from. He actually sees like a 3D hieroglyphs, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs that will float in front of his eyes. And when he sees these, he feels them somehow. Okay, he's back. Hang on just a minute, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I was explaining about the hieroglyphs. And so if you can explain, hold on just a minute. I have lost him again. Darron? Okay, I'm just going to try to finish this out. Apparently he's having issues. But he sees these. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay, it's okay. But when he sees these, he feels some kind of energy from these hieroglyphs that he's seeing floating by. And when he feels that, he immediately can interpret that into song, into music on the guitar, and he begins to play it. And at the same time, when he has visions, whether they're dream visions or whether he's awake and he has clip visions, he and I both have what we call clip visions. It's basically like a little small segment of what you would think a whole video. You take the clip. That's kind of how we see visions. It's just like a short little clip of something. When he gets those, that's how he actually writes the lyrics to his music. Of course, and he does add in some of his own, things that he's been through. It's like he knows this part of this, a huge part of this, is something that he is supposed to do to help humanity. It's like ever since that he began getting these downloads, it's like he has had the strong feeling that he is supposed to, sing this music to it's kind of like starting the music out a little sad, relating to people with things that they're going through or that they've been through. But the goal of it is by the end of the song to help people heal. Okay, so I think this is a very amazing gift to have. I'm going to go back through here and see if anyone has any questions. Okay, Jack Mac says, I hear you, Michelle, but not your son. Thank you, Jack Mac. Maybe not too meant to share too much about that. Right. Okay, and hold on. And I can't, let's see. Hello, Bluegrass. Welcome, lovely Marcia. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? I am so sorry that something's went wrong with his technology here. But if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them for you. I'll give you just a moment. Anyways, while we're waiting, I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for coming to view this, because I really feel like his story is just absolutely incredible. There is a singer, I don't remember who it was, but I believe it was possibly one of the singers from the Beatles that also used to get some kind of downloads that he would interpret into music the same way. I really wish I could have remembered how is it having the most amazing mom? Oh, Laura, thank you. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. Are you hearing me, Darron? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So he can hear us. So Laura, he can hear that. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I agree. Very incredible. Well, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and close. Darron does have to run, but so much love to each of you for joining. Darron, thank you so much for taking time out to tell your story. We love you so, so very much and so proud of you. Bye, everyone.